Hi, I'm Chelsea Husum, your host of the Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I'm an entrepreneur, author, speaker, and mom of two. And I'm so tired of women not feeling like they can show up as fully expressed versions of themselves. So here, we're all about that unapologetically, because honestly, we don't have time not to. Literally, because we're busy as F moms and entrepreneurs, but also figuratively, because we don't know how much time we have on this planet, and we want to make an impact now. But if we're doing this, we're making it real vibes only. So let's get inspired, laugh our asses off, quite possibly cry, and feel like you're sitting on the couch with your bestie and a glass of wine. I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea Husum. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you're all having a great week. Today, I wanted to chat about just some interesting things that I have dealt with for like funding, banks, investors, all the things, because I've had some weird situations, some weird things like happen. And I'm like, is this real? Is this how the world actually works? So definitely just want to share my experience. All right. So back when I started my company, 2020, what a year, right? People often say, like when I say, or when they ask me, like, how long have you been in business? I say, oh, I started it in March of 2020 of all times. And they're like, oh man, that must have been rough. And I say, well, really, when you don't have business, you don't have business to lose. So actually it worked out fine for me. Cause I just kind of spent 2020 just really like, setting up the company, setting up bank accounts, insurance, like all these things to really then hit the ground in 2021. So I really when I started the company, I started reaching out to different banks. And like I've always banked personally at Wells Fargo, which back in the day was Norwest Bank. I don't know if any of you remember that. But my mom used to actually work at Norwest Bank. So I know that bank very well. I would literally go to elementary school and then walk to the bank and then hang out in the bank while my mom finished work. And I knew all the banking people and they were so awesome. So definitely spent a lot of time in my childhood at the bank. But I've literally had an account there. It's funny. I think it's since like 1988 or something like that. And so when I go there, they're like, oh my gosh, like we don't even like have these accounts anymore that you have. They're so old, whatever. But I've always banked there. And then I have I have a credit union and some other banks. But when I started my company, I really was just reaching out to banks to see for like small business loans to see what they offered. And just really for operating capital, just to kind of get up and running, and things like that. And interestingly enough, like a lot of the banks, well, first of all, I was like, oh, I'll just apply for an SBA loan, right? Like Small Business Association, right? That must be perfect. Well, no, because apparently you can't even apply for an SBA loan unless you've had 3 years of tax returns. So there's that, if you didn't know that. I sure did not. So I could not do that, but I really started talking to different banks about small business loans. And the really interesting thing I found, I probably talked to, gosh, 5 or 6, probably at least 6 or 7 banks, let's say, a lot. And because I just kept thinking like, I want a small business loan. I wasn't even planning to use all the money or even that much of it. It was just to kind of have it in account for operating capital. So like as things come up, right? And with construction, people pay you, I bill net 30. I know I've said this before, but a lot of times I get paid 60, 90, 100 days or further out, guys. It's like that. It's no joke trying to pay payroll every week when you have all this money owed to you, but it's just like, you really don't know like actually when it's going to come in. So that was just what I initially had tried to do to get a loan, right? Just to have some money in the bank to use as needed. So like I said, 5 or probably 6 or 7 banks. And like one would say, oh, we'll give you 150,000. but you have to bring 50,000 cash to the table, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, no. I mean, it's like if you have just 50 grand cash laying around, I would just use that, right? Then another bank's like, I'll give you 250,000, but you got to bring 75 grand to the table. Or, I mean, it's just like I would get kind of far into it, and then I don't know, they'd want me to switch my personal banking to them or my company banking or this or that. And, or, they had all these stipulations and it just never felt good. So, I'd get kind of far along and then I would just say, no, 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 I would never go through with it. So gosh, the last bank, I thought, I was like, this is it. This is it. My friend introduced me to this banker lady. She was really fantastic, really awesome. I think I just liked her in general. So I was like, thought, oh, this is it. Right. So I met with her. We talk about all this stuff. Somehow at this point, they're going to loan me like $450,000, which I didn't even need even a fraction of that, but I don't even know. I don't even know how I got there, but that's where we were. And then, but at this point, I was still working another job. So I was working two pretty much full-time jobs, right? And so this last bank told me that I could not, or they were going to make me sign this agreement, and it was written in this loan agreement that I could not quit the other job. So not my company one. I couldn't quit this other job. So pretty much they're telling me I have to work two jobs until my company had like 6 months consecutive of, I can't even remember the amount, but like profit in a row, 6 months consecutive in a row of, let's say, $15,000 profit or something like that. And if you know anything about a small business, a startup business, like most don't make money for years, guys. Like it's not like you're 2 months in business and you're like, we're rolling in the money. I'm paying myself. I mean, I didn't pay myself for 4 years, guys. I worked for free. Cause I'm like, well, my salary can just be in the company. Like I don't need the money. Right. So that alone was really intense. And who knows, honestly, how long that could have taken to actually show them, they're in my books. They're like, they want like reports. They are just like combing through all my books, all this stuff, and it's like every quarter or every month I had to like turn in all this stuff and justify everything and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just like they were really micromanaging my money and everything I was doing with it. Right. And I get it's a bank. They don't like risk, whatever, right? So they got to make it worth their while. But so at this point, I honestly feel that I was just so desperate to finally get a bank loan that I was ready to sign it. And it was really interesting because it started like different things were like, let's say we're supposed to close on Friday, right? Well, something would happen like we couldn't close. And so it'd be like, oh, it's pushed another 10 days or whatever. And then it'd push. And then I'm like, oh, getting all anxious and antsy to sign this and move on. Right. And then something else would happen. And it kept delaying, which was interesting. And while I'm, laying in bed at night, I'm so like anxious, just wanting to get this done, get this taken care of, I started just getting this disgust, like a bad feeling in my stomach, like a pit in my stomach going, is this like, am I going to sign my soul away, my life away to a bank? Like, can a bank really dictate how I live my life and where I work and how long I have to work two jobs and all this, which to me is just absolutely insane. I really, to this day, can't understand. I can't fathom how a bank could like get involved with your life like that. It's just very, very odd to me. And it's terrifying, really, to be honest. Because I truly almost signed my life over to them, and my life and the way I live and the way I work would have been at the mercy of this bank and of like starting a startup and hoping for profits. And then for 6 months consecutive. I mean, seriously, it's just insane. So I started getting these weird feelings and just not feeling good about it. Started laying in bed, I can't sleep, I'm just getting sick to my stomach about it. And then one day I woke up and I went to my husband. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I said, this bank wants me to sign my life away pretty much. I have to then answer to them anything I'm going to do with the money for the company. I'm like constantly answering to them. They're micromanaging me in every way, right? And I said, oh my God, we have all this equity in our house. Why can't, because we had HELOC, home equity line of credits, a few of them before. They're great. And I was like, why can't I just go get a HELOC on this equity to give me some cash, to give me just like a little breathing room, a little, some operating expenses, some capital to work with. And then it's just me that I have to answer to. I don't have to answer to anyone. I don't have anyone dictating how I'm, what I'm doing. I don't have to do reports, and I don't have to do all these check-ins and do the whatever that all these other banks had wanted. And he's like, yeah, what are you doing? Why, yes, just go do that. So thank God I had this epiphany, and thank God this loan closing I think it delayed like 3 times. And it was God trying to look out for me, but I, being the psycho that I am, kept trying to hammer it, get it done, get it done, get it done, and trying to control it so much that I almost made a huge, huge mistake. And God only knows how long I would have been working those 2 jobs. And that other job sucked. It sucked ass, guys. Like, it would have been freaking horrible. I would have been miserable to have to keep working that job too, because it was absolutely soul sucking and just a mess of a company. It's like, thank God. God was trying to be like, what are you doing? And kept delaying it so that I would finally wake up and say, hey, look at this. I don't need to make it this complicated. You have the answer right in front of you. So that was that. It's funny to me how, I definitely am a planner. I wouldn't say I'm a controlling person, but I like to control things. I like to like know what's happening, right? And just like feel like I have control over things more or less, right? And it's funny to me how you might push for something that is so not aligned with you because you think that's what you need, and everything is screaming at you to run. But it's crazy to me. All right. So a couple years down the road, let's just say 2 years down the road, speaking of just being stupid again, I start thinking I want an investor. I want an investor in my company to start growing it. And actually, I wasn't even actively looking for someone. Someone came to me and was like, hey, I want to hear more about your company. I'm interested in investing. So that's how that came about. I was not like actively out there looking, but I'm like, oh, yeah, let's chat. So I spend thousands of dollars on a friend was helping me with like reports and, like valuing the company and all that crap. I don't get any of that at all. It's like pay someone to do that. But somebody was helping me like months, all these check-in meetings, all these financial questions, all this stuff. They did a site visit to meet my technicians. They, all this stuff. I had to send them all the financial reports, blah, 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 right? And we were going to move forward with it. And I don't even remember at the time. I don't even remember how much it was for or any of that. Probably I blocked it out. But we were going to move forward. And it's like the 11th hour. Like we're like 2 weeks away from, yep, this is happening, right? Let's say. And I get a call from this guy, and he's like, he left a voicemail. And he's like, hey, something along the lines like, Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to let you know that I have another company that came to me that wants me to invest, and they're offering me a higher return on my money. So I just wanted to call and give you the option to, go to like up your offer to the return they're willing to offer me. Otherwise, I'm going to go with them. And I was like, you left that in a voicemail. That's a little weird and shitty. And, like I said, I've spent thousands of dollars at this point, a ton of months, you know, put all my stuff out there for them. And then pretty much they're like, well, you need to up the ante or we're going with someone else. And honestly, it was the easiest. I think I got the guy's voicemail when I called back, and it was the easiest no. I immediately was like, no, I don't even want to entertain it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm good. Like, no, move on. So I left a voicemail. I was like, I so appreciate the offer and I wish you the best, but I'm going to decline. I'm going to let you, go with that new company or whatever. And I'm not going to take you on as an investor. And it's so, again, for a second time, financially, I felt that I needed help outside myself for some reason. I don't know I just wanted a buffer. I just wanted the comfort of like not living the financial chaos day to day of like, how much money do I have out and how much is coming in and how much, all this stuff. Like, it's stressful, but I kept looking outside myself for the answer. And you know what's funny? I funded the company from my home, and then I've never needed an investor ever since because we just started finally generating money. And it's just crazy to me. And I remember the early days when, you're just getting started or it takes so long to get paid, and it'd be like, I pay my employees every week, and in the beginning, I remember having to go pull out some money for payroll or for a little bit, to help get to the full payroll. And I haven't done that in years. And I'm very grateful for that. So, to finally have built a company that is self-sustaining and can generate salaries and generate revenue to pay my bills and pay my employees and all that. I've never missed a payroll. I will never miss a payroll. Even if I had to pull money from a personal account to cover it, that's just what I will never miss a payroll. Like, that's just not okay to me. So yeah, but it's interesting to me that I kept searching for external validation or support when all along I didn't need it at all. And it was just me. I just needed myself to step up and believe in myself. Like, I got this. Yeah. So it could have been two pretty bad situations. I mean, and it's like, if I had an investor, I'm paying them money. I don't own the full company, again. So it's like, I would have given up ownership. I would have given up, that other bank too, I forgot to say, the bank that wanted me to sell my soul to them and sign this off and work those two jobs. They also wanted me to move my personal banking to them, my business banking, all my investments to them. Like, I mean, they just had all these things. They wanted to completely control all of my money, personal business, everything. And I mean, it was crazy to me. So thank God I got some sense knocked into me somehow. But yeah, I mean, it's just, thank God I didn't go down these paths that I initially thought, oh, well, I just need an investor. Oh, I just need a big bank loan, right? So yeah, and it's all worked out because I trusted myself, worked my ass off, and believed in myself. And you can hustle and make it work. So just want to remind everyone out there, if you're like if you feel like you're forcing something and you feel like you want it so bad, sometimes you need to take a step back and be like, do I really need this? Do I really want this? Could this cause harm to me, my business, whatever? And, and just take a step back sometimes. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I appreciate you. Share this with a friend if it resonated. If you loved it, go leave a 5-star Apple review. If you hate it, just find me on Instagram and yell at me. Always remember, no BS, just real vibes. I'll see you guys next time on Lip Service and Lashes. If you loved the episode, share it on Instagram and tag me so I can say thank you and meet you, or share it with a girlfriend who you know would love this too. Always remember, no BS, just real vibes. See you next time on Lip Service and Lashes.